Ever get the feeling that some jobs, they're like creativity black holes, bright minds go in, and it's just dot paperwork out the other side?
Yeah, like a total brain drain.
Right. But what about economists who've spent time in government? Is that a career killer, or does it actually spark something interesting? We're diving into a study that flips the script on that idea.
It's easy to assume, right? Government equals bureaucracy. Academia, head in the clouds theories. But this study, it gets messy in the best way.
It really does. Our academic productivity after the Council of Economic Advisors, published just last month. 3 economists used their own careers as data. They wanted to see if advising the U.S. president helped or, actively harmed their research.
Talk about insider baseball. Most researchers would kill for that kind of access.
No kidding. But before we get into their findings, let's set the stage. Their research lab. The Council of Economic Advisors, the CEA. Now, I haven't spent much time in the White House myself. What exactly does the CEA do?
Think of it like the president's economic brain trust. They're constantly analyzing data, crunching numbers, putting out economic fires left and right.
So, whatever the crisis of the day is, trade wars, inflation worries.
The CEA's on it. They have to be the economic first responders.
Intense. That doesn't exactly scream academic research to me.
Not at all. The authors describe it as incredibly demanding, needing expertise across tons of policy areas. Constant pressure, public scrutiny, the works. We're talking real-world problems with huge implications.
Okay, so we've got these brilliant economists thrown into the White House pressure cooker. You'd think they'd come out the other side totally fried. Research productivity in the tank, right?
Seems logical, doesn't it? Exhausted, bogged down in bureaucracy. Who has time for serious academic work?
Well, here's where it gets wild. The study found the exact opposite. After leaving the CEA, all 3 saw their research output increase.
Increased.
Seriously, it's like that government experience lit a fire under them.
Yes, that is not what you'd expect.
Yeah.
So how do we explain that? Were they secretly writing papers in the Oval Office? Some top-secret productivity hack they picked up? Give us the good stuff. Not quite Oval Office all-nighters, but it's close. One of the big things they point to is it shifted their research focus.
Makes sense, right. Instead of just theory, they're suddenly dealing with real-world economic dilemmas every day.
Exactly. And it's not just like, oh, I'm in government, I should research government stuff. The article gives these great examples.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so one of the economists, Mulligan, he was advising President Trump on the opioid epidemic.
Wow. Talk about timely.
Right. And that experience directly led to him publishing a paper. Get this. Prices and Policies in Opioid Markets.
So from policy briefings to literally writing the paper on it. That's wild.
It's more than just general interest, though. These weren't just hot topic. There were specific things they dealt with. Questions, challenges inside the White House that sparked these whole new research paths.
Okay, I'm hooked. What other rabbit holes did they go down?
Well, Mulligan again, he ends up a leading expert on pharmacy benefit managers, the PBMs.
Those are the dot medication commercial people, right?
Exactly. Apparently, analyzing pharmaceutical pricing for the Trump administration, it gave him this unique view into that whole system. Like nobody was looking at it that way.
So he's advising on policy, and suddenly he's writing the textbook on this thing most of us didn't even know existed.
Exactly. And it happens with the other economist, too. Corinth. He worked on housing deregulation at the CEA.
Okay. Keeping it topical, as always.
Right. Well, that experience directly fed into his research on how regulations impact those rental assistance programs.
So from the White House to what? Journal articles? Think tanks?
Even better, Journal of Urban Economics.
Okay, that's the big leagues.
It is.
Yeah.
Point being, their government time wasn't stifling research, it was fueling it. But there's more to it than just new topics,
Oh, there's got to be. What's the secret sauce? Spill it.
Remember how we talked about the CEA is this super intense collaborative environment? Well, that turned out to be huge for them later on. Think about it. Tight deadlines, high stakes. You're surrounded by the best in the field.
You'd either crack under pressure or forge some serious bonds, right?
Yeah, exactly. And those bonds, they don't just disappear when you leave the White House. It's like they built this intellectual support network that kept paying off. And not just other economists either. The article talks about collaborations with medical experts, even biodefense people.
Okay, now that's interesting. We always hear about cross-disciplinary work, but it's tough to actually make it stick.
Right. But this group, economists with medical and biodefense folks, they were focused on pandemic preparedness. And get this was before COVID.
Talk about ahead of their time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they're not just tackling huge real-world problems, they're doing it in this way that breaks down the usual silos. Pretty cool.
It is, and it shows how valuable those different perspectives are. But even beyond those specific collaborations, there's a subtler way. There's CEA time-shaped things.
Ah.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Think of it like insider knowledge. They weren't reading about policy, they were living it, seeing how the sausage gets made, you know?
Oh, I hear you. That gut-level understanding you don't get from a textbook.
Exactly. So they got this master class in how policy actually happens, the good, the bad, the messy.
Do they give any concrete examples of this insider knowledge at work?
Oh, yeah. One that really got me, it was about the federal poverty line, that whole thing.
Seems pretty cut and dry, right? Bureaucratic, but...
Right. But they said it can actually be changed by one person, the director of the Office of Management and Budget.
Wait, seriously, one person controls that?
One person. And think about what that means. Changing the poverty line, it impacts like Medicaid, SNAP benefits, even those Affordable Care Act subsidies.
It's not just a number on a spreadsheet then. That's real people's lives.
Millions of them. And it's something most economists, even the poverty specialists, they might not fully get it without that inside look.
Wow. That's how the sausage gets made, huh? Makes you think what else we're missing, just not seeing those levers of power.
It's wild. But there's one more thing. It's not just the topics they researched or the insider stuff, but how they approached research that changed.
All right, now I really want to know. What's the magic trick?
Remember, the CEA is crazy demanding, right? Deadlines, pressure, scrutiny, the whole 9 yards.
Trial by fire.
Totally. Well, that environment, it forced them to hone some serious skills that actually helped them in academia later on.
Like what? You got to be more efficient, I guess.
More than that. When you're juggling insane deadlines, you learn to cut to the chase. What's essential? No time to overthink it.
Can't exactly ask the president for an extension because you're stuck on a footnote.
Exactly. And it's not just speed, it's communication. They weren't writing for other economists, they were explaining this stuff to policymakers.
Oh, so like translating Econ 101 for the real world, high-pressure stuff.
Exactly. And then there's handling criticism. They were constantly challenged publicly on their work.
That's rough. I'd be terrified, honestly.
It's tough. But it makes you anticipate those objections, build a stronger argument, develops that thick skin you need, especially in academia.
So they didn't just learn what to research, they learned how to research, almost like an intellectual boot camp.
Perfectly said. They came out battle-tested, ready for anything.
This whole deep dive has been eye-opening. Honestly, who knew government work could make you a better academic?
Right.